Hello, we have a new gate today. Bambaji here with another gate overview. And on the 26th of September at 12:40, the sun moves into gate 18. Gate 18, work on what has been spoiled. This is the gate of correction. And you can see it here, it's in the splenic center and it points down towards the root. So it's a harmonic gate there, gate 58. That's the gate of vitality, the gate of joy, the joy of life. Correcting things can be a very joyful experience. I want to show you this, look. Okay, this is the mandala wheel. And as you can see, the 7 gates of the splenic system, they all, they follow each other, one after the other in the wheel. You can see that from here, one after the other. So we're into gate 18 and we stay in the splenic center until we come out into gate 1, which is actually then the start of the next quarter. Whoa. This one always makes me quite, I don't know, it's quite a thing moving into splenic season. You know, the splenic center is our oldest awareness center, and it holds some very primal fears. All of the awareness centers have a fear associated with them, with each of the gates that are in that center. So the solar plexus expresses fears as nervousness. The ajna center, the mind, expresses fear as anxiety. And here, in the splenic center, it's just good old-fashioned fear. Each gate, as I say, it carries its own flavor of what that fear is, and we'll explore each of those as we go through each gate over the next sort of 6 weeks or so. 6 weeks of fear. Hurrah! The splenic center is also keynoted as the center that oversees our immune system. It's our internal washing machine. That's what it does. It pulls toxins out of our bodies in the same way that our washing machine pulls the dirt out of our clothes. You know, it pulls toxins out and it disposes of them, it flushes them through the system one way or the other. And we have many organs of elimination in our body, as well as the sort of the bowels and the urine side of life. We also have our sweat glands, the skin. It's a huge organ of elimination, our skin. And the tongue actually is an organ of elimination, which many people aren't aware of. And that's why the whole thing of scraping your tongue in the morning can be really healthy. You're getting rid of the toxins that have built up overnight and that are sitting on top of the tongue. So you scrape them off and flush them away, and then you sort of have an extra brightness to start your day with. If you straight away drink something as soon as you wake up, then you're just actually taking those toxins back down into your gut, into your stomach with the water. So the tongue, good one to have a good scrape of first thing in the morning. So anyway, all of this, what does it mean for us to be moving through this series of transits as we go through the splenic center? What can we be looking out for? Well, the sun is shining its light on our health, our physical health. You know, the splenic center is our body awareness. So it's shining light on our body's intelligence, perhaps as well, because we have so much body intelligence. It's possibly giving us the opportunity to check in with our body, to make sure that our body has exactly what it needs in order to be healthy. In this northern hemisphere, this series of gates marks our journey into autumn. The nights are definitely drawing in. The air is a little bit damp. The wind is carrying more of a chill than it has done through the summer. We may register all of these things with our mind. We may not, of course. Sometimes we're not that attuned to our environment. But it doesn't make any difference. Our body knows. Our body is always very aware of what's going on around us. And it's always doing what it must in order to ensure our physical survival as we march on towards winter. Hopefully, we've had a good spring and a good summer. We've eaten well. We've eaten of nature's bounty and harvest. We've had plenty of sunshine and fresh air. Our stores are robust, whether that's internally within our body or our cupboards and our pantries. Well, and we need to feel robust because our bodies are going into washing machine mode, clearing out toxins, making sure that we are clean and healthy in order to withstand the rigors of winter. And that takes some energy. And our body is going to do this regardless of how strong we feel, because that's the program. That's the mechanic. This is human design. Design is the form is the body. It's everything. The program is actually centered on the body because we are housing consciousness. We are consciousness in form. Without a body, consciousness has nowhere to experience life from. So the body is programmed to be, well, as healthy as it can be, to make sure that consciousness has the environment it needs for the experience that it's going to have. And remember, the splenic system is our oldest awareness system. It still has a cellular memory of when life was really hard. When we had to struggle to survive, we had to be hyper vigilant and alert to our surroundings. That cellular memory, it lives deep within us. And it may not be so relevant today when we have lots of clothes to wear, or we have warm houses, we have supermarkets to go foraging in. We don't have to think about going out and hunting one last woolly mammoth in order to make sure we have the food and the fuel and the clothing to be able to make it through to the next spring. But our body remembers. Many people get sick around this time of year, coughs and colds, and we put it down to the change of the season. And it's true in its way, of course. It is the change of the season. That's exactly what these splenic gates are telling us, because we've just reached the midpoint here, the equinox. We've just got to that point, 46. The equinox is always in gate 46. And now we're moving into that point. Coughs and colds, maybe some fatigue even, as the body is going through its work, putting us through the ringer, you could say. So what do we do with this? We can allow it to just get on and do its work. We can support this internal work with what nature is providing at this time of year. It's so interesting when you look at the fruits and the vegetables and the herbs and that kind of thing that are available seasonally at different times of the year. It's like in the spring we get all those bitter herbs, like the dandelions and the plantains and things like that. They are designed to help our body detox the liver as much as any other thing. And that's after a winter of eating lots of the fatty type foods that we would have had to insulate our vital organs to keep them warm. Remember, this is cellular memory. This is going back to caveman days. This is really how old this splenic system is, and the parameters it's operating within. It doesn't really understand that we might live in a centrally heated house and we're on a fat-free diet and we don't eat any carbohydrates, and it doesn't do any of that stuff. It's still working on the fact that, okay, so the winter, that means we're going to be eating lots of fat because we have to be insulated. We have to make sure our vital organs don't get cold. The body must be kept in a correct temperature. All of these things are really inbuilt, and we don't have any conscious access to this unless you're Wim Hof, maybe, or a llama sitting on top of a mountain. But generally speaking, we don't have any knowledge of what's going on in the body, the regulation that's going on in there to keep things running well and smoothly. So that's all. That's the sort of thing that we get in the spring, is to help us detox from that heavy diet we might have had in the winter. The heavy soups and all the root vegetables and all those things that that nourish us and keep us warm. In the autumn, we have things like the rose hips and elderberries and the things that are full of vitamin C, which are going to help us to stay strong and look after the probiotic nature of our body. They're going to take care of our microbiome and keep us strong so that we can fight disease and so on. Garlic and onions, these things all help the body and assist in its cleansing rituals. I make a thing with, it's called fire cider, or it's called hooch, various names. And it's something I've been making it for years. It's a tonic, really. And it's made with equal parts of chili, ginger, horseradish, garlic, and onions. And sometimes I put turmeric in it as well. And that's all chopped up, and I throw it in a jar, and I cover that with apple cider vinegar, homemade apple cider vinegar, so you know exactly where it's come from. It's got the bugs in it, the, you know, the biotics, the probiotics in it, the good bacteria that come from my environment. So I know that it's going to be something my body's going to recognize. So that covers all of that chopped up vegetable material. Put it away for a while to let it ferment, and then strain it or juice it, bottle it. And that's my sort of tonic for the winter. And I give it away to friends who are sometimes grateful. And sometimes like, oh my God, what are you giving us now? I don't give that away. And, you know, a shot glass of that a day. It's not for the faint-hearted, I have to say. It's quite like, but it can really help. Any sign of a little sore throat or a tickle or you know, when sometimes you just know something has come into your system that your body is working with, you know, just give it a little bit of extra help. So a shot of that a day keeps the doctor away. Actually, keeps everyone away, which is probably why I don't actually catch that many bugs. Nobody come, oh, you've been drinking hooch again. It's good stuff. There are many ways of supporting ourselves naturally, and there are also, of course, the products that can be bought from the chemist or the pharmacy. And you do what is correct for you, according to your design, according to your inner authority. You support your body in the way that your body needs, not the way that your head thinks your body needs. And human design brings us a possibility of noticing, you know, of not getting caught up in the not self games, listening to the mind tell us that we mustn't get sick, and what will people think if we have a day off work, and they might not believe us. And, you know, and I know certainly in my younger days, I used to, I didn't honor my body at all. It was not something that I had really taken on board. I knew about it, but I didn't, yeah, it wasn't for me, kind of thing. Um, and so I would go into work, even if I was sick. In fact, the sicker the better, in a way, because I wanted to prove that I'm sick. I'm not at home, you know, sort of faking it. Um, and then that way I would get sent home because they could see I wasn't slacking. I was really sick. Madness, utter madness. But that's the homogenized thing. I was certainly growing, you know, I grew up with that message of you work through it. Yeah, what's the matter with you? It's just a little cough, a little cold. So you sit there, you're pouring with it. You could hardly move because you got a temperature. You feel awful. But still, that work ethic I grew up with is like, you go into work. And it doesn't matter about all the people you're infecting on the bus on the way in. Hey, anyway, so I invite you to take note, you know, without judgment, of course, what is going on inside. The body's just doing what it's designed to do. You know, can you be a witness to that? We've just come out of gate 46. We have just found the love of the body, or not, but let's go with perhaps we have found some love of the body. We have reclaimed our temple. And now we can witness our body's own wisdom as it cleans its temple. We can get out of our own way and we can allow it to do what it knows to do so well, because our bodies are so incredible. Yeah, anyway, I wasn't really planning on going quite that deep into it today, but there you go. That's what came out. So on to gate 18, work on what has been spoiled. And more specifically, work on what has been spoiled by our parents. Yeah. Excellent, that's where it comes from, because this is where we learn how to challenge. You know, we challenge for the benefit of the future. This is logical circuitry. The logic is all about future, very future oriented. Every generation tries to improve upon its upbringing. Every generation thinks it knows better. Well, better way of doing things than its parents did. And so one of the most fundamental challenges that we have has to do with the way in which we are brought up. The fear associated with gate 18 is the fear of authority. And generally the first authority we have in our lives is that of our parents. This is where we learn to challenge the injustices that we see, you know, the unfairness that we witness in life, and we begin to flex our correction muscles. Now, the ideal scenario is that we learn to challenge within a safe environment. We learn the art of correct correction. or not. More generally, not. Gate 18, it's not tribal. It's not about laws, rules, and demands that govern the tribe. This is collective, and it's very different. I mean, this is about the way in which human beings need to be raised in order to participate in a collective society. And in order to participate, it's the 18th gate that is going to come and challenge things. It will challenge the generation that brought it into the world in the first place. One of the principles of the 18th gate is a determination to better the lives of their children and others. And it's the others that often bring a bit of a dilemma. The collective is fundamentally social. Now, every gate within collective circuitry carries the keynote of sharing. They all want to share with the rest of the collective. That's what they're about. The 18th gate is constantly seeing what needs to be challenged. As a collective gate, it needs to share what it sees and what it thinks must be challenged so that everybody gets to hear about it. And those with the 18th gate who don't operate correctly as themselves, they're challenging things that are not of value to be challenged. And they're challenging them in ways that are not aligned, that are not going to find support. Above the lines, in the Rave I Ching, the headline says the vigilance and determination to uphold and defend basic and fundamental human rights. This is the essence of the 18th gate. And this is one of the keys to the way in which we can operate safely in the future. This is the logical side of collective. It's about establishing patterns that are reliable for us so that we can be secure in the future and so that our rights can be secured. It's the 18th gate that begins this process of challenging to make sure that basic rights are defended. It is only here in the collective logical process that the rights of the individual, of children, of women, of minorities, that something that can be defended and established as a pattern, something that can be brought to be of value to the whole of humanity. Whenever you think about the 18th gate, you can imagine that, that it bitches a lot, it complains a lot. It's always finding out what's wrong. It's the one that sees the picture that needs straightening on the wall, and there's always something that it wants to correct. But it's there for a purpose, and it's important to be recognized. Ultimately, it's there to make sure that everyone has a better life. And there's a vast difference between those with the 18th gate who are operating correctly and those who are not. Ra said that having the 18th gate activated in your chart is an indication that there has been deep conditioning from the parent, one or both. And through this imprinting, a certain standard has been established. These conditioned standards will form the basis for comparison and will be applied to everything, to lovers, work, oneself. And the reality will always invite the potential for correction. Gate 18 is part of what's called the stream of taste. It's a genetic gift of the 18 to be able to know truly what it likes, what it doesn't like at any given moment. The fact that we don't like something doesn't mean we can change it or fix it. We need some awareness around that, because to criticize what cannot be fixed is not really criticism. Not if we know it cannot be fixed and yet we still criticize it. That just becomes a form of punishment. So the 18 is here to be able to challenge authority, not to eliminate authority, but to verify it. And if the authority cannot be substantiated, then to challenge it and to replace it. This is splenic. It's not emotional. It's not supposed to be emotional. When someone says to you, speaking out of their gate 18, you do not dress properly, it's not emotional. It's not personal. We can take it personally for sure, but if it's correct, it's not personal. And it won't come with that charge that makes it feel personal. I mean, depending what else is going on in our lives, of course, but that the energy of that is really quite clean. They are stating their own taste. And we can only dress the way that we dress. You know, it's not something that they can fix. You cannot always turn that collective recognition into something personal and expect it to end well. That's not why it's there. It is not supposed to be personal. Let me show you the mandala again. Okay, so we can see that the grounding for our sun gate in 18 is gate 17. This is a gate in the ajna, and it's called the following, gate of opinions. So yeah, up there in the ajna, pointing down towards the throat. It's in the same circuit as gate 18, logical circuitry, with the keynote, as we know, of sharing. To correct, to work on what has been spoiled, is a service. Both of these gates are part of the cross of service. And above the line for gate 17, it says the ancient law that those who wish to rule must know how to serve. Doesn't this sound like good grounding? I don't know, for some reason, it makes me feel really quite emotional. You know, working through this, this journey through the wheel with you all, watching how everything works together, how it plays together. I'm also making a cartography course at the moment. I'm creating a cartography course and going through the slides, and I've just been doing the whole of the collective circuit. And again, looking at the keynotes, looking at how it all flows together and how beautiful it is. And it really is, it's very moving. Okay, talking of moving, let's move on. The sun and earth, excuse me. Whoa, funny how these things suddenly hit you, isn't it? Okay, the sun and earth are in the 18 and 17. And these gates are mirrored in the nodes at the moment. The north node is in gate 17 and the south node is in gate 18. So there is some extra emphasis here on these gates. The energies may be accentuated, they may be amplified. The 18th gate, the fear of authority. You know, maybe there is some extra criticism around the hierarchies and the organized patterns that we live in. In the UK, we've not long had an election, so there's still the whole settling in period from that. The Americans are looking at an election in a few weeks' time. So again, all the criticisms and the judgments and the, you know, what direction and all of that kind of thing is playing out there. The nodes bring us the context of movement and direction. Where are we all going? Yeah. Are our authority figures taking us in a direction that is correct? Or do we need a little course correction somewhere? What are the opinions that are being voiced at this time? Do they aggravate or do they ground? Can we move from a fear of authority into the correct challenge of authority? And how the hell does collective authority work anyway? Is it working? Is it one of those structures that is slowly falling apart the closer we get to 2027? Anyway, this has been quite a long overview. So I hope that you find it of value in your process. Your awareness of the program and the mechanic that we're in is so powerful. And so is the homogenized pull to ignore it. So now, more than ever, as we go through these splenic gates, as we go through splenic season, yeah, I wish you so well and go gently and truly love yourself. And I will see you for gate 18 in the first line, which I shall record just after doing this one. So I'll see you there shortly. Or if you're just doing the overviews, if that's enough for you, then I will see you when we reach gate 48 in about 6 days' time. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. Bye-bye.